First do a proclamation on Juneteenth. Just give me 1 second here. So that's one of our 3 proclamations for tonight. The other 2 I'll cover here in a minute. But Borough Bradley Beach Juneteenth Proclamation. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day, is the oldest known celebration commemorating the end of enslavement in America. And whereas Juneteenth is a day of reflection, a day of renewal, a pride-fulfilled day, it is a moment in time taken to appreciate the progress and contributions made by African Americans in this society. And whereas Juneteenth is inclusive of all races, ethnicities, and nationalities, recognized by Americans everywhere as a symbolic milestone in our journey towards a more perfect union. And whereas it is a day where we take one step closer together to better utilize the energy wasted on racism, Juneteenth is a day that we pray for peace and liberty for all, a celebration of freedom. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Bradley Beach to hereby proclaim Wednesday, June 19th, as Juneteenth in the Borough of Bradley Beach, and encourage all citizens, young and old, to pay tribute to the journey, embrace the past, as well as the future that unity, respect, and appreciation brings. So that is our proclamation for Juneteenth. Appreciate everybody embracing that. Okay.
Beth Kepler, 504 Central Avenue, Bradley. I watched the last meeting of June 12th and your performance. I found your political grandstanding a little nauseating in regard to your reading of the Juneteenth Proclamation, when in context to page 8 through 11 of the January 19th, coincidentally, report from the prosecutor's office with regard to the investigation into the previous Chief Guida, specifically the August 1st, 23 incident involving a suspicious person, which was a Black man who was stopped and detained in our borough. I'll quote from that report. With respect to Chief Guida's detention of redacted, we find that detention to be in violation of the 4th Amendment of the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 7 of the New Jersey Constitution, which protect individuals against unreasonable searches and seizures. Accordingly, the detention correspondingly violates the aforementioned rules. That was a report that you chose, Larry Fox, to hide. You had the option and the power to actually hold the chief law enforcement officer of this borough, accountable for his behavior and the findings that he violated the constitutional rights of a Black man innocently walking through our streets. But yet, 5 months later, you stood in front of this borough last meeting and you read the Juneteenth Proclamation. I encourage everybody to go back and watch your performance because it made me throw up a little bit in my mouth. But let's talk about another coincidence. Coincidence is improbable concurrence or near concurrence of seemingly related events or circumstances that have no causal relation. A coincidence is a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances that have no apparent causal connection with one another. For instance, I find it an interesting coincidence that a resident that spoke last week and this week, in addition to living here in the town, also happened to coincidentally live right across the street from the infamous DUI motor vehicle accident gentleman, Kenneth Wynn, who Leonard Guida'a was involved with an altercation in a situation that we're all aware of, which was a large part of the investigation into the November 9th incident with Sergeant Major and that whole thing on Main Street. But that is just a coincidence, I'm sure, that that resident just happened to be speaking in favor of you, Larry Fox, and in favor of the ex-chief and how unfairly the council has been treating you and the chief. Just a coincidence. Some other things that I've had on my mind lately are, I'm wondering what the status is of the attorney that this council approved several months ago to investigate the behavior of Mr. Bernstein towards Nicole Browning during the union negotiations. I'm wondering about the borough employees. Did they ever get paid for the overtime due from 2022? The beach employees that Kim Humphrey spoke of that were supposed to have received overtime pay? Have they just not gotten their pay? I'm just wondering. And what happened to the bill that was set aside for $17.5 thousand a few meetings ago? That was for a social media consultant that nobody knew about. And it was separated out from the bills list. I wonder whatever happened with that. And I'm also wondering about what Ms. McGuire was talking about in regard to the American Rescue Plan. We received $407,467.22. But yet we can't seem to account for where that money went and where it was allocated and what it was used for. These are things that we need the DCA to come in here and investigate. And while we're talking about coincidences, I really hope that the coincidence, well,
Thank you.
I'll say that for next.